We are back. So my name is Mark. This is Tony DUnlap, Matthew McInnis. We are going to review the Predator Black. We got two of them here. We all agree that they are beautiful. Beautiful,
spectacular cute. Looking for sure.
Yeah, it's silver inlays. This is also, I mean, beautiful looking cue. I personally myself like the black series. They do silver on the A, B, and C and D collars. They have the radial unilock pen. What do you guys think of it?
He wants it back on the table.
What do you guys think of it?
Oh man, for me personally, I've fallen in love with that radial pin, so that would be the only thing that would keep me from otherwise. I mean, it is gorgeous to look at, and it also feels like I picked it up and held it. I mean, it's a great balance. It's a spectacular look. Oh man, yeah, they've hit a home run.
Look nice with the Revo shaft too.
For sure.
Go ahead.
What are the inlays in this?
So they put magenta, and this is actual silver around the rings. This is the 9K, by the way, with the silver rings. But
the wood inlay.
Yeah, the wood inlay is maple.
Maple.
It's hard maple. And
is that on all 5 of the Black series? Do they use the same?
They do.
Just a different design.
Yep. Magenta, silver rings, magenta, and they use the C4 technology. The C4, the P3s, they use the 31 ply technology. The only difference is the C4, they use like 4 pies and then press it around together and then do a veneer wood inlay over the top of it, like a sleeve. And then the stainless steel unilock pen. Myself, I play with the Maestro, the radial, so I'm kind of with you on the radial, but there's a lot of people that like the unilock.
Oh yeah,
I think you play with the unilock, don't you?
The unilock Predator.
Yeah, the 314 too, right?
Yep.
But this setup right here with the black, with the Revo, we have the Revo 12.9 on this, the 314.3 on the 9K, but good Lord.
Yeah, it's
now a question on this for maybe people that want to know. I know a lot of people prefer a wrap, and a lot of people don't like a wrap. Are these Black series available without a wrap, or are they all a wrap stick?
No, they come. This is called their sport wrap, and the Maestro has the sport wrap. Like the sport wrap?
I tried playing for a year with no wrap whatsoever, and I think I've gotten back to a point because I'm playing with an LE4 road line that has it's a little bit different than this. It's got a tacky feel to it. It's not linen, and I've grown to really like it. But I also, the caveat to that is, I find myself when I'm gripping the cue, most of the time when I'm comfortable, my hand tends to be below the wrap. And I don't know if it's just because of my arm length and the way that I set up, but my hand is very rarely up on the actual grip unless I'm choking up on a specific type of a shot. So it doesn't really bother me, and I've come used to it, and now I like it. I like having the wrap. So I tried it for a while.
I tend to kind of go both ways on that because my hand is a lot of times
kind of half and half.
Yeah. Right on both. Right. So you have the benefit of the wrap to keep your hand on it, but you can also feel the end.
One thing I noticed that kind of stood out to me when I watched some of the world-class players at Derby was that there's a tendency to see a lot of these guys, they're gripping their cue at the butt, at the very end of the cue. And it's the things that were noticeable were not only that, but also how light they hang on to the cue. You can always see daylight with their fingers between their palm. You never saw people making a fist. You never saw, it was always a loose, very loose in their cue.
You're even seeing that in when they break.
Yes.
Yeah. They're breaking with 2 fingers.
Yeah.
They're not,
a lot of guys they'll even like rotate the cue with their fingers. You see, it's like they're juggling it with their fingers, keeping it loose, and it's really fascinating and now I've tried to implement that because that's one of the things I find. Mike alluded to it earlier, is that when you're under pressure and you're feeling it, it's real easy to grip that tight. and that's a real good way to miss a ball. Real bad too.
I think so. Here's the big. I think why you're seeing a lot of pros and people, especially with the carbon shafts. So they say the pivotal point, the balance point on a bridge on a REVO to get it to function correctly is a 19-inch bridge point on a carbon, because there's no real flex to it like a 314. I mean, there's some flex to it, and because I have a 314.3, I played with it for a long time. There's no flex on this carbon shaft, so if you the bridge point is supposed to be between 19 and 20 inches. So when you're bridging along, like you and me, we have a longer arm span, and a lot of times I'll grip back here because of the longer bridge. But the 314.3, they say the pivotal point is about 15, 16 inches. So I think they were really smart in bringing the sport grip all the way to the back. I don't know if you noticed
that's
it.
Interesting.
Is that now that you moved it all the way back here, so for guys that do grip back here, is all the way through. And the sport grip,
I think the technology is constantly evolving.
Well, Predator's really good about that. I mean, they are really good about evolving into a better pool cue.
Well, it's about time when you stop and think about how many years we've been competing in pool and it's all been focused on wood. It's about time that we got with golf and tennis and introduced something like carbon fiber, because of the technology. Obviously it works. There's a reason why there's a lot of pros playing with this that aren't getting sponsored by Predator or Q-Tech, and if they're playing with it, they're playing with it for a reason, especially if they're not getting paid to play with it. There's a reason why the technology has got some weight, and it's cutting through the industry the way
and
it is.
That's kind of different on the carbon fiber stuff being so popular, because I grew up playing in an era to where even the top rated players would tell you that the best playing and shooting cue that you can ever have is a bar box, a single wood shaft bar box. Those sticks shoot the best out of any stick you can put together. That's why a lot of bar box cues got cut down and had joints put in them, because they still wanted that, but they wanted it to break down.
The sneaky
now it's kind of a sneaky P, exactly. But now it's kind of moving towards carbon fiber. Seems like our world is evolving into carbon fiber. Cars, pool sticks, everything.
And myself, because I play with the 12.4, is that the ability to do cut shafts on a carbon on a REVO or just a carbon shaft, low deflection, because the 314.3 is a low deflection shaft too, is that when you're drawing shots, it's effortless. You draw really good on the 314 too, which is a low deflection shaft. But the ability to
thank you, Mark.
When you're lining up on the cue ball with the carbon, is that you don't have to put one outside or two outside tips to spin off of the rail. You can get the same amount of induced spin on the cue ball with a half a tip. And it never deflects, the cue ball never deflects off the line. When they did a test, and to test deflection, with the half a tip, you got the same amount of spin. So now, you have more confidence on making your object ball, because you don't have to account for the deflection of the ball spinning around the horn.
Boy, I that's an observation that's important, because to me, I make the analogy of a golf club, and when you started to see the cavity backs introduced back in the day when ping became a thing, a bigger sweet spot for your average player, less room for error. And I feel like that's the same with some of these low deflections for people that are coming into pool for the first time and just sort of starting getting into it. I think that's important. That can be a real benefit to learn that, hey, look, center ball, keep your mistakes minimal, like the less for outside extreme, especially when you're a novice player and still learning a lot about how to move the cue ball around. I think that's a big thing. And for me, for those that don't like the carbon fiber for whatever reason or still trying to resist it, I haven't played very much with the 314-3, but I have played with the Vantage. And to me, the Vantage shaft is probably the closest thing to a carbon fiber that's not carbon fiber in the way it plays.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any experience with the Vantage? Because it's very low deflection. I think it has even less than the 314-3. But along with what you're saying, yeah, you can see a lot of action on the cue ball without having to necessarily put that much outside or English, and you get that kind of reaction, which is really nice. So if I wasn't playing with a carbon fiber, I'd probably be playing with that Vantage because of that.
So you have the 12.9.
I have the 12.4.
You have the 12.4.
This is 12.9.
This is a 12.9. Have you shot with the 12.9 also?
I did. I had it for a while on a Unilock throne. I had the 203 throne.
In your opinion, what's the difference? I mean, for a lot of people that don't know the difference between these, what is the difference between the 4 and the 9?
Well, so the taper is one of the big things because some people like the condylar taper. I've never really noticed a big difference in it, but some people really do notice a big difference between the 12.9 and 12.4 condylar, especially with the longer bridge. What I liked more about the 12.4 is that the 12.9 played a little bit different on the spin off the cue ball. And once again, on a 9-footer, you really got to see the difference. On a bar box, not so much because you're not really getting a stream one left side, right side on the cue ball.
A little bit harder to let your stroke out on a bar box.
Especially with the carbon shaft. It's almost, I put the analogy of like a sports car and always keeping it in, between second and third gear. You can never really let it release out there. So, because spin equals speed. So when you start putting spin on it, what feels like a little soft tap, the cue ball is on the other side of the table. So the big difference between the 12.4 and 12.9, and this is just me playing both of them, is that the 12.4 it induced a little bit more spin that I was looking for after I hit the object ball, and especially when you're using multiple rails. The 12.9, it didn't have the same contact feel for me as the 12.4 did. And then having a radial pin, we were talking about it, versus a Unilock, because I had the P3 Onyx 1 and 2, and then I had the Throne 2 and 3, and then I went to the Maestro radial pin. 9-day difference for me.
Yeah. No, I've had a local, I won't name names, but I've had someone locally who does cue repair work tell me that I'd never know the difference if he lined up 2 cues next to each other and one was radial and one was quick release, and I call no way. I definitely feel a difference. I prefer radial. I feel like the response, the feel of making contact is so much more definite, and you can just feel the difference. I definitely believe that in the radial pin.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the radial, and I played with the quick release for quite some time, and it's definitely seemingly the more popular one out there. There's a lot more options when you go and look at websites and look through cues. There's way more quick release than there is radial, but for me, I would rather go through the extra effort of a few more twists to separate my cue and play with that response that you get. It just feels better.
Well, I think why the Unilock is so popular, because I noticed it too. On a radial, you do, like, you tighten it up, and depending on the humidity, sometimes you have to cinch it another turn.
Every couple shots, you're tightening it back up.
With the Unilock, you're in and it's cinched down, and I think you kind of touched on the Unilock. You just do a couple of turns and you're in business. You're ready to.
A little bit different from the old days where a game of pool took an extra 5 minutes because 2 of that was screwing the stick together.
Right. Well, and you play with the Unilock with the 314 too, and you shoot really good. I think your Fargo jumped up to in the 570s. Well, I just wanted to make you feel better. I know.
And that's it. If you don't feel confident in your game, your colleagues that you play with can bring up your game too. I appreciate that.
Well, that's what I do. We're friends. So and all of these are beautiful looking cues. I mean, the stainless steel with the silver, with the magenta, with the hard maple, with the ebony wood.
Is this black series available in anything but the silver butt?
It is. It is not. They all come with stainless steel unilock radial pen. So, and I believe they have 5 in that series. I believe that this is 2 of 5. The one with the, or excuse me, this is the 2 of 5, and I believe this is like the 1 of 5. You can see this one has more inlays in the butt end and the forearm. I believe. So, but the 9K, I like how they put the spore wrap all the way down. We were talking about it. That's pretty neat. Because I think you're sometimes depending on a shot, especially on a bar box, sometimes you'll grip up here. Sometimes you'll be on maybe a longer shot. You're going to be gripping down here, especially on a 9-footer.
Especially if you're shooting, like if you have the cue ball locked on another ball and you're kind of jacked up.
Oh, for sure.
You definitely tend to hold your stick.
Oh yeah, you're
a lot further up because you're you don't want to.
Yeah.
So many shots.
No, I have a feeling you'll start to see more of this. I have a feeling that that's going to become a little more popular because I notice, especially at the high end level players, so many of them are back here, and a lot of them too now. The other thing that you're seeing a lot of are those miniature extensions. Yeah, that's becoming a thing, and because, I think the reason too is it's not adding that much weight to throw to change the feel of the cue, whereas the bigger, longer extensions literally change significantly the way the cue feels with the balance, right? When those smaller extensions don't change that as much. So I think those are going to be even more prevalent.
Well,
for me, the hard thing on these black series would basically be picking your design.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's so good looking though. I really love this.
I don't know which one of these two
I like. I really like the the bigger diamonds on this one, and
it's pretty.
That's a tough call. I guess you'd need to see all 5 of them together.
Just get off.
Pick your poison.
Well, and the difference is like $100 difference. Like this one, I believe is like $12.99. This one's like $11.99 retail. So
yeah.
It would be a hard choice for me because I like the looks of it.
I think for me, I definitely would.
You're gonna take that one? I'll take this one.
But I'm not familiar with the other 3 in the series, so
yeah, I haven't.
Maybe you'd see those and go, oh yeah.
I'm a Predator honk though. I love Predator's equipment.
I do too.
Riding Predator for a while.
Some people you talk to, wouldn't even use it for firewood.
Right.
Yeah.
However, that's people that don't like them seem to really not like them.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's no in between.
However, those people are kind of going by the technology of it instead of actually playing with one for a while and seeing.
Well, so, and I want to give
I wasn't talking about you.
Well, a shout out to poolcues.com.
That was great.
Thank you, Chris, for letting us demo and take a look at these cues.
So I'm kind of excited to get into that McDermott.
We are gonna do we are gonna do a McDermott on the next episode with the weight balance system, and we were just kind of focused on. And the great thing about Predator, because I know I've had to deal with them, is that their warranty. I know some people's had issues in the past with them. I personally have had to use their warranty service twice with them, and he's actually called me to talk about it. 314.3, I had some issues with the first one. It's kind of my fault after some rain sitting in the car and cracking on the tip of it. I sent in the warranty. You just have to go online, fill out the warranty, register the shaft within 10 days. Before I actually had mailed off my other 314, they had another 314 in the mail. I was like, well, I haven't really sent that one off yet. They're like, don't worry about it. We trust you. Just send it back to us. I had
pretty good service.
Well, and I had another one. I went up to Greg and was having him put a tip on that, Greg Sauter, and he's like, "Do you know you have some cracks in here?" I was like, "No, I didn't know." And he's like, "Here, take a look at it." And I was like, "Oh man, I don't know if they're gonna help me again." Sent that back off, and the head of the warranty department called me, the guy, and he's like, "We're gonna replace it. Don't worry about it." So twice on the same shaft, no questions, no problems.
Well, you golf a lot, correct? Too, right?
I try.
Are you using your pool cue as a golf club also?
Sometimes I feel like snapping that in half instead of my golf club. So you know,
I mean, you personally just had bad luck a couple times.
I
haven't heard too many people.
I've
No.
never had an issue. I've been
shafts.
riding with Predator for almost a decade, and I've never had a problem with any of my Predator stuff, man.
But a shout out to
Really-
Predator
really good luck
also, as
with it.
far as them, their customer service, helping out like that. That's
There was a guy who lost it. He got his pull cue. It was on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. His car got broke into, and it was his kind of pride and joy, his pull cue. And car got broken into. Insurance wouldn't cover it. He reached out to Predator, got a hold of it on Facebook, sent him a brand new pull cue, and said, "Hey, we want you to be able to play pool and play with Predator."
What's the lesson there? Don't leave your cue in your car, or do it until.
Well, I've done it.
I just bought a new black that got stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Predator. So it just kind of getting back to all of them have lifetime warranties. You just got to register online. It's easy to do. Just go to Predator. Put it. All of them have a registered number on the pen, and then you register the shaft. I have a 314.3 right now, and I still love it. Have you guys played with the 3?
I haven't played with the 314.3.
played
That's
with
the
the
one
3.
I have not hit. I did the 2 and the Vantage, but I don't think I've hit a ball with the 3.
Well, Darren Appleton, when the 314.3 came out, he said it was the invention of the wheel because you get the benefit of low deflection. It's a 12.75. You can cut it all the way down to a 12.5 without breaking the warranty. So if you're like, I don't like the 12.75, I want it, so you can go to custom pull cue guy. Greg Sauter does them. You can get it shaved down to 12.5 and the warranty is still good. If it's below 12.5, it devoids the warranty. So they all come with their Victory tip, which I don't know if I care for them, but
Try and hit some shots. Time to hit some balls.
Are we ready for the demo mode? Let's try it. So I say we try this black one first because it just looks awesome.
It's amazing.
Here.
What are we hitting here? What are we? Anything in particular?
So just try it out, test it out. That camera.
Well, weight-wise, it's. Do you know exactly? Is this 19?
Well, so that's the great thing about Predator. So when you when you unscrew this plate in right here, as you know, just kind of showing the viewers, you just unscrew this. If you get their extension one, which they just came out with, the 3-inch extension and the 8-inch extension, there's an actual tool, Predator tool. I use an Allen wrench. There's a waste cartridge system, so you can adjust it by 10th, whatever weight or balance that you want. And
the weight system is pretty amazing because you can literally add, take out as much as you want to
Yeah.
feel what you like, you know, and that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I've wound up on every cue I've bought. Usually I take the weight out and make it as light as possible. And now
Okay.
my
Oh,
cue at
man.
this point is like 17 ounces. Like it
Oh,
came
wow.
with a 1 ounce weight in the butt, and I took it out, so it's super light. But man, I prefer the lighter weight. Oh, that feels really solid. And this is a 12.9.
12.9.
So it's the same. This is what I'm used to, so that's why it kind of feels.
You got the 12.9.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the LE4 and the 12.9, and I love it. I can tell though that the balance point on this, the two things that stand out to me in the way it feels, is it's more of a typical radius in terms of the butt. It's and that's one of the reasons why I'm stuck on the road line, which is actually a few years old now. Is the road line is very narrow, and so it doesn't feel like it's in my hand as much, you know, and I kind of like that feeling. But this is feels great.
So, and
Trick
I just
shot.
want to give a traction statement. So I said full cues. It's actually billiards.
Billiards.com. Billiards.com.
And I believe they're on Airport Way. And what's that?
Whitaker Way.
Oh
Whitaker Way.
Yeah.
I bought some stuff from them, an Air 2 jump. And Chris, the manager there, was nice enough to let us use it. So what? You have a 12.9. What do you think of it?
It feels fantastic. I think the only thing that I noticed again is that the butt is a little bit, it's larger, so it feels bigger in my hand. The balance point's a little bit different than my road line, and I definitely, the contact, when you make contact, it feels different. To me, it's not as crisp because I'm so used to that radial, but like I said, I like that radial pin, the way it feels. So I can feel that, but outside of that, it hits very solid. It feels great.
So for me, one thing that I noticed about the Revo, so if I wanted to hit this and cut this in the corner and come back 3 rails because I had to, because there was another ball over here, the major difference that I noticed between is that, man, when you drill that and put some heat on it, and like, okay, I need to come back 3 rails to set up because I had to. It's pretty effortless with these carbon shafts. I mean, you just,
it's a lot less of a stroke.
All you have to do is just stroke through it, and it's pretty effortless.
No, I can remember the first time, because I ended up buying the first Revo I bought from Paul Marquez, and it was a P3. And he played with it for a little while before I bought it from him, but that was one of the things that he remarked, was that the action, there's a contrast. I mean, it's so much reaction to the cue ball, and especially on like cross banks and certain shots, that it's just like, it's really reactive, you know, and it's definitely different, and takes you a little while to get used to the feel, but I think it's great, man. It's definitely less effort to get more action. I mean, that's what it seems like.
Well, and the inside English between the 314 and a regular maple shaft and these carbon shafts. So if I put inside English on it and I want to spin the cue ball back over here because I can't release it this way because that's the most natural path that most people would do, right? 2 rails come back this way. But if I had to put inside English on it, the inside English on a carbon is pretty effortless. I mean, you don't have to get all the way deep inside and like, good God, am I going to make this ball? Let's hope for the best. Now you can just kind of pick it. Oh, and I missed it, and you can check it out here.
That's my shot.
Because normally you do a 314 too. To see what you think of it.
Touch of inside. Shout out to CJ Wiley.
And you see how much?
Yeah, that feels good. Like with my P2, I would have had to hit that probably a little firmer to get that same reaction. I just don't even know what happened on that one.
Okay. We need some.
That was probably supposed to react
a little different than it did.
So try some putting some juice on it and like maybe coming off of a grill or two. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So
that feels good.
Do bottom English, a backspin on it. It's just
Not much effort.
Not
much effort there.
Yeah, it's pretty effortless.
Well, and that's the thing too. You were talking a little bit earlier about the difference between shooting on a 9-foot table and a bar box, and that's when you can really see it sometimes at the coast. When you see players that play out of rooms with 9-foot tables, they have this big elaborate stroke that they literally have to kind of dumb down, and it's like the short game in golf, where all you're doing is punching and pitching shots around the table. And when you're using this on a bar box, very little effort to move the cue ball and just get to those positions. Whereas it's some of those guys that are used to just poking on a bar box. Well, now if they're doing that with this, they can get even more action than before. Whereas they're just the guys that are known for just poking and moving the cue ball a little bit at a time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too. I used to bowl quite a bit and bowled on a couple leagues. And I always used to make fun of the guy that would walk in with 6 bowling balls.
Yeah, right.
He had a
one for
a 7-pin ball, a 10-pin ball, a break ball. But now they're almost making these sticks too easy to play with. And they're going to make the lower skilled players better players than what they would normally have to learn with a standard stick. I mean, they're making these pretty much effortless. You still have to have the skill set to do what you want to do, but like you were saying, with a lot less effort, you get a lot more action.
A lot more reaction. And that's what you saw, I think, in those early days of golf when the cavity back was first introduced, going from blades to cavity back. Boy, that made it a lot easier for a lot of people. A lot of amateur players suddenly weren't spraying the ball as bad as they used to because the sweet spot was so much bigger, right? They were finding the fairway a lot more. Well, I think there's some correlation with that,
Well, it's kind of funny. I was golfing last week, and there's me and you got teamed up with this father and son team, and the guy had an old persimmon wood driver. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I'm like, you're hitting with a persimmon driver. He's like, yeah, I'm traditionalist. I'm like, that's awesome. I mean, but you could only hit it like 170 yards with the driver. I'm like, try this Nike VRS S driver.
300 yards.
Now he's driving at 250. I'm like, it's pretty cool being a traditionalist, persimmon wood, but what do you think of technology? It's like, and it's effortless, right?
I have to laugh a little bit. There's a lot of folks out there that are still very skeptical about carbon fiber being involved with pool, but I'm sorry, there's some science here, folks. It's not just a fad. It's not just because it's cool. There's something behind it. I mean, you got to hit with them. And sure enough, I don't even think I'm a caliber of player that can notice that big a difference between them, but I can feel a difference. There's definitely a great feel to it, especially if you like low deflection or no deflection. I mean, the people that are used to that, there's a lot of players in the Philippines that swear by wood shafts because that's what they know. That's how they know how to move the cue ball. They're used to all that deflection. That's another conversation.
They're used to a real high humidity there.
Yes,
too.
right.
So
Environment
that plays a big difference.
Well, I know that
314. Let's check it out.
I know that Jessica, the Filipino player, she was playing with the REVO 12.4 for a while, and she kind of got away from it. You won't see any other Filipino player playing with it right now. So here's a 314. Matt, give it a test drive.
Yeah, I actually don't know that if I've hit the 314 before. I think it's always been the 2 or the Vantage, but I've got to think it's not going to be too far from the 2. Now, you said, what did Darren Appleton say about it?
When it came out, it was the invention of the wheel. Like, man, people that can do break and runs is gonna love it. People that have challenges moving the rock is gonna love it. It plays really well. It's a well-rounded shaft for a lot of players. That's what Chris Byron uses.
Is that what he's using right now?
It's the 314.
Yeah, no, it feels good.
It does play really well. The thing about the carbon shafts, though, if you're off, that carbon shaft's going to punish you, and it's gonna be really frustrating day for you and pull, because your stroke and your tempo has to be on, because there's no give in the shaft. The 314 is a little forgiving.
Well, it's the whole attitude. When you change equipment, your game's probably going to go down.
Yeah.
Until you.
Or it gets really good for a little bit, and then kind of goes down.
Tanks.
Yeah.
And the reason that is, I think, is because you start reverting back to your old habit with the new stick.
Yeah. Well, and you can't.
The habit in pool is hard to break.
Yeah.
When you're used to one technology.
Yeah. Well, and you can't. The 314 and the Revos play completely different. I mean, where you're aligning the ghost ball and stuff, especially inside English, because they just play different. I still like the 314, and I still will stick it on there when I'm not really aligning correctly with the 12.4. I'll stick the 314 on there, but here's the thing: when you're looking down on the 314 versus the Revo, is it's kind of hard at first to get used to looking at
a black shaft
versus the maple. Some people they just can't do it. They're like, nope, I'm gonna have to sell that. Try it, Tony.
It was the same way for me when I first started playing on diamond tables. Is I couldn't play on blue felt. Blue felt.
That was weird when they made that.
Weird.
Yeah, weird. It's supposed to be green. I can't play on blue.
Yeah.
And now I play on a green table like a valley and I'm like,
yeah. What's going on here?
This doesn't seem right. In Idaho called Pockets, and I walked in there and it was shocking. All the felt was tan. It was like a taupe tannish color, and it was so weird because I just kind of got used to everything being blue, going from green to blue, and then you walk into a pool room like that, and you're like, what's going on? It's definitely different.
Well, I know I was playing at Midway, and they got all those diamonds, but they're cool down there, and I was playing APA Masters, and so we have to go upstairs, and those tables are green. And it's been so long since I played on a green table. I was just like, it felt like playing in a different country.
Yeah, no, I set up a shot earlier that I kind of said, oh wow, because I managed to draw it out of this from a cut shot over here and into the side pocket, which I have not done in a while.
Like that's takes a lot of draw for me to make that ball do that. It feels good. It's definitely the hit's definitely different than
well, Tony, when are you getting the carbon the 12.9? Because it seemed like you were hitting that thing pretty good.
Yeah. I think I'm more comfortable with this because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
It seems like I was a little more careful with that one. Because I was trying to actually feel it because I hadn't played with it. This one here, it's like playing with my stick, so I'm just kind of.
That's what I was going to say. Is that one feels
more
more like my cue feels to me,
right?
For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think if I was going to want to change equipment, I would probably be more apt to go with try out the carbon fiber instead of the 3, because I like the way my 2 hits and feels. So
you're not alone. There's people out there, they will not shoot anything other than the 314-2 or the pre-cat 314, like the
Well, it's the same way with
original
Z shafts. You know, people that love playing with the Z shaft won't shoot with a 2.
Did you ever try a Z shaft?
I don't like them.
I didn't ever care for it.
It's too thin for me,
Yeah.
and I think those shafts have a lot of deflection.
Yeah. Yeah, I was never a fan of it. It blew me away when I saw what Bobby Zach shoots with, because he shoots with, it's almost like a snooker. It's really,
like 11.2.
it's unbelievable how
like,
rare it is, and that guy plays just amazing pool. And I was just, how do you shoot with that thing, man? It's remarkable.
Like, how do you put a pencil on the
Yeah,
end of it?
exactly.
Because that's how thin it is.
He's savage. I mean, he
Yeah.
shoots savage, and I was looking at it, I grabbed it, I was like, how do you line up
I did a
with
double
the
take when I saw it the
London
first time I saw it.
diameter?
Well, your bridge has to change and everything
Yeah.
when you're. I mean, for me anyway.
Well, you know,
like on a Z shaft.
Well, what was funny is Joshua Filler, who just won the U.S. Open, he was playing with the Revo, and he about 3 months ago he switched and took the Revo off and went back to the Z shaft, and he just won the U.S. Open, $50,000, and then he won a tournament before that, and they asked him like, well, why did you switch from the Revo? Because you were pretty good with that. He's like, you know, I felt like it was time for a change, and I just wanted to go back to my original. And you think going from that black shaft back to the maple, we're like, well, you ain't gonna win nothing now. Well, he won the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my golf coach in high school taught me a very valuable lesson where he would challenge us as a team every week during practice. Hey, if any of you can beat me, you don't have to practice for the rest of the week. And the caveat was that we could pick 3 clubs from a rental set that he had to play the 9 holes with. So we would try to jack him up with the most odd combination of things. Didn't matter, he'd still shoot par or below. We never won the challenge, but that told me right then and there, it's never the equipment, it's the player. Yeah. So yeah, what we're doing here is valuable. It's good to feel. It's always best to play with what feels best for you and whatever you have the most confidence with, but it's really never the equipment. It's the player and the fundamentals. It comes down to the player.
Well, players also get in ruts.
Oh, for sure.
Where they need that confidence booster.
Sometimes
so they
changing
think,
equipment.
A friend of mine, I won't put him on the spot and mention names, but he kind of gets bored with equipment.
Yeah.
So he'll go buy the next best thing.
Yeah.
And kind of get excited about the game again, playing with it.
Play
but
jam
then
up for a month
it seems
or
like
two.
he reverts back to what he was shooting with before. So new equipment can give you that confidence booster.
For sure.
But like you're saying, at the end of the day, it
comes back to
it's putting the time on the table and being used to whatever you're shooting with.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter what cue Chris Byers has in his hands. He's still gonna beat the crap out of most people. Like, you know,
still a monster player.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I still like the 314. I think that one of the big differences, especially for the one pocket players, is that the maple shaft versus the carbon shaft, to twist a cue ball, because a lot of times,
I was talking about.
A lot of times when you're playing one pocket, you know, you gotta twist the 15 in there at a slow pace. You know, everybody wants to, okay, I can just fire this in there. Yeah. But sometimes you have to be able to just kind of, okay, I can put some left on it and just kind of smooth roll it over there. Maybe not so much make it, but just kind of set it over there.
Right.
The carbon shafts are easy to do it. I mean, it's effortless. And now you don't have to put it outside. You can just kind of get it into a one tip.
Yeah, no, and I that's what I believe Paul was alluding to, is that there are literally shots he kind of had to relearn and retrain himself, because it was such a big reaction difference when it comes to like controlling a pocket and just moving a few balls here and there and doing some of those twist type shots. Yeah. There's definitely a difference between the wood and the carbon fiber.
I think Paul was telling me, he's like, dude, I'm up like 1 ball or 2 balls, you were saying, on a rat because I went to a carbon shaft. Is it for everybody?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
I mean, if you don't like it and you're not feeling it, why would you force yourself to like something? So, but I noticed that like one pocket players are starting to go to carbon shafts, and they would never do that. What's your guys' overall thoughts on
Oh, I like both the cues a lot. I mean,
I'd be a player on the Revo.
Yeah, but I'm kind of biased because I'm already playing with the Revo and I don't plan on going away from it anytime soon. I love it, but this is definitely a good shaft, especially if someone's looking to break into low deflection for the first time. I would highly recommend the 314-3. It feels great, and this cue to me just happens to feel more like my actual cue. So,
well, and here's the other thing. $500 versus $230.
precisely, yeah. No, and so if it's out of your price range, you really can't go wrong with the 314-3 if that's more affordable for you. It's really a great shaft. I agree.
And that, I mean, that's a big difference. But here's the other thing: you'll never have to sand this down. Never have to take the glue off.
That's just it, folks. If you're really trying to justify the money, I can tell you in the amount of time I've had my Revo, I would have reconditioned it 3 times already had it not been carbon fiber. I mean, every time I go to Chinook, I usually walk up to there and have them new tip.
Here, Jesse, I need the
exactly.
Here,
And
clean this up.
don't have to do that anymore.
So
it's very nice.
So we got both of these. Both of these are great. Both of these are great looking. Great warranties from Predator. I've had nothing but good luck on customer service with them. So, well,
Another shout out to Billiards.
Yeah, thank you, Billiards.com. That's
beautiful. Letting us try them out.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. Next episode, we're gonna do the McDermott, the weight cartridge, variable weight transfer system. So cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
All right, appreciate it, Tony. Thanks,
thank
Matt.
you very much. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Fun.
All right. Yeah. Okay. This McDermott one. What's that? This McDermott one, because there's so much shit to talk about on this thing, is probably gonna. I never even shot a ball with it.
Yeah. Now there's 2 shafts on that one too, the iPro and the iPro Slim.
Yeah, one's a 12.
Well, this must be the
12.4 and 12.9.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a Z shaft there. That's
12.
It's 12 and 12.5. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
12 and 12.5. So
Yeah.
definitely
Probably
the
should chalk
12.
that.
Black Pharaoh.
Probably should chalk it.
No, it's too
It
good.
didn't chalk much.
Well, actually, man, that thing
It hits good.
It hits pretty good.
So, Mark, do me a favor. Stop that.
Oh yeah, right.
You can hear that?
Big time. It's like, oh, my fucking ears. I'm like, quit with the fucking smacking.
Sorry.
What can we do better? I mean, were we like getting out of frame and you kept telling us to move over?
Well,